Proud to serve northeastern and central Pennsylvania. This is WNEP 16, the news station. Now, Nolan Johannes, Karen Harch, Chief Meteorologist Tom Clark with his backyard forecast, and Joe Zone on sports. This is the Newswatch 16 update.
Hurricane Diana that's forcing people along the Atlantic coast to evacuate their homes.
Meteorologist Tom Clark has been tracking Hurricane Diana, and he's live with us now at his weather office with the latest on that storm. Tom?
Okay, here in the Channel 16 Weather Center, I've been tracking this hurricane all evening. Now, it has intensified in the past 6 hours. Let me show you some video on how that looked earlier today along the southeast coast. The winds, now up to 95 miles per hour, still remain well offshore at this hour. But some strong surf and above normal tides along the coast, causing quite a bit of beach erosion in many areas, and a few hours of lost sleep tonight. Here's what we have on the graphic. Diana now is 100 miles offshore, the center of the storm that is, and it's moving to the northeast at a mere 5 miles per hour. But that has prompted hurricane warnings all the way from Cape Hatteras southward to the coast of Georgia. And we'll be tracking that very well over the next couple of days. But hurricane warnings out now to the south, and it's quite a storm. Winds approaching 100 miles per hour now. I'll have more on the storm and its possible effects on our weather later on.
Ferraro's running mate was in Philadelphia today, and Walter Mondale called for tax hikes totaled $85 billion over the next 4 years to bring down the national debt. Mondale called it a hard, realistic plan and said, unlike the Republicans who are trying to hide the red ink with blue smoke and mirrors, he has laid the cards on the table. The Mondale deficit reduction plan would raise $85 billion by postponing a new law that would protect income taxpayers from inflation. Another $92 billion would be saved by stopping at Reagan's third-year tax cuts for families making more than $60,000 a year. Families making more than $100,000 would have to pay a 10% surcharge. The plan also calls for any new federal programs to be paid for with new taxes or budget cuts. Mondale also proposed to cut defense programs by $25 billion, health programs by $12 billion, and farm supports by almost $4 billion. Mondale is also proposing that $30 billion should be added to the budget to restore education and environmental programs cut by the Republican White House.
Coming up, we'll have the latest on the teacher strikes in our area.
Plus, remembering a deadly demonstration during a labor dispute 87 years ago. The somber ceremony when we come back.
Complete coverage of high school football '84. It's 16 Sports Final. All the highlights, all the scores, plus the Super 16 Game of the Week. 16 Sports Final, Friday night on Newswatch 16 Update at 11.
Anniversary tonight in the tiny Carbon County community of Lattimer. It's been nearly a century since a massacre left a group of striking coal miners dead. Night Beat reporter Dan Fiorucci says 87 years after Black Friday, people still remember.
It was the most terrible mass killing in Pennsylvania history. 87 years ago, 20 miners were massacred on this spot. They were shot by deputies during a peaceable demonstration during a strike. It's a killing that hasn't been forgotten.
Lord God, we ask you to receive us.
Tonight, on the anniversary of the massacre, some 45 townspeople here in Lattimer got together to remember. It was a somber ceremony.
But these people were pioneers in the labor movement, and we certainly owe a lot to them.
A plaque at the site of the killings reads, "They had no weapons of any kind, and they were simply shot down like so many worthless objects, each of the licensed life-takers trying to outdo the others in the butchery." It was an event that had an important influence on labor history.
Johnny Mitchell himself acknowledged the sacrifice of Lattimer here as providing unity, especially ethnic unity, throughout the regions. not to speak of the miners' unity.
The Mass here took place just beneath the American flag. It was a grim reminder that there are times in our history when people forget what that flag stands for. Dan Fiorucci, Newswatch 16, Lattimer.
Also in Carbon County, a strike has hit the Panther Valley Area School District. There were no teachers or students in the Panther Valley classrooms today, and that'll be the case again tomorrow. The teachers want more money, but no new talks have been scheduled. They say they are among the lowest paid teachers in the region. Speaking of the Panther Valley teachers' strike, we have a brief correction to make tonight and an apology. At 6 p.m., we aired part of an interview with a concerned parent, Regina Kreinock, and said that she's sympathetic to the strikers. What we didn't say at 6 was that Mrs. Kreinock still does not support the teachers' pay demand and that she does not think Panther Valley teachers should be on strike. In quoting Mrs. Kreinock, our report was incomplete and we regret the error.
There's another teacher strike in our area. Teachers in the Jersey Shore School District in Lycoming County have walked off the job for the second time in 6 years. Nearly 3,500 students were sent home early today as the district's 3 schools were shut down. Some of the 183 striking teachers here at Jersey Shore took to the picket line. They turned down a 3-year contract proposal on Sunday. They say they want more money.
Next, meteorologist Tom Clark heading out to his backyard to tell us what our weather will be like.
Hopefully no hurricanes on the way, Tom.
I hope that doesn't hit. I don't think it will. How would you like temperatures into the 80s, though?
Sure.
Yes, that looks promising. Hey, I got a terrific picture of the hurricane to show you, close up, when we come back.
They say the measure of a community is determined by its appreciation of literature, music, and the arts. That's why I'm going to the theater tonight. One of the reasons I support theater is because I believe it teaches us something about ourselves and the way we relate to each other. Another reason I'm going is because I believe we should develop the arts to their fullest potential. But the main reason I'm going is because I like having a good time, and it gives me a chance to let my hair down.
This message brought to you as a public service by Scranton Public Theater and this station.
Well, let's find out if Diana is going to dump any bad weather on us, Tom Clark.
What we don't need is more rain.
That's for sure.
A lot of people complaining about too much rain in the garden over the past few weeks. Outside now, it is a beautiful late summer night. We have the full harvest moon shining down overhead, a mostly clear sky, and the temperature mild. Take a look at what it stands now in the backyard. Readings still, for the most part, in the 60s. We have it's about the middle 60s here, 67 degrees. Humidity is up high, 85%, nothing unusual there. Winds southwest at 6, the barometer is holding steady. Had a range in temperature on Monday, 75 and 63, 34, the record low set back in 1956. A little valley fog in the background there. You know, this is about the latest we've gone into a season without having a hurricane form in more than 50 years. Only once before, since 1930, has the first hurricane of the season formed later than September 10th, and that was back in 1941. So a bit unusual to have the first hurricane come so late in the season. Back in 1937, we went until September 9th for the first hurricane to form. Let's take a look at it now on the latest Newswatch 16 color satellite picture. There it is, this at 11 o'clock this evening. There is the eye of Hurricane Diana. It's about 100 miles offshore now, and again, like I told you, moving up towards the northeast at only about 5 miles per hour. Now that's clearing there. You're looking down to the ocean, but around that eye there's a wall of clouds and driving rain being whipped along by winds of up to 95 miles per hour. So that's the fury of the storm right there. A lot of thunderstorms, lightning flashing and thunder. A real storm around there. Now, it looks as though the storm will continue to drift slowly to the north. However, these things are very difficult to predict. It could go inland or probably will continue drifting northward along the coast, and its effects on our weather, I think, will be minimal at this point as I see it, so I'm not too concerned about later on in the week as Diana drifts slowly northward, but we'll be keeping an eye on it, of course. Clear now over the state. Look at this incredible thunderstorm complex over Illinois. A lot of heavy rain drenching that part of the country. It's all because of a front lined up out that way. That line will push through here tomorrow night. We could see a few showers from it. And then things looking pretty good later in the week. Warmer weather is in store for sure. I think we'll be up into the 80s by Friday. Now here's my forecast coming up for the rush hour. A dry start, okay? I think there'll be a few clouds here and there, but lots of sunshine. A nice beginning. 58 in Monroeton, Glen Lyon 61, Dunmore 62. All these temperatures above normal for this time of year. Jersey Shore 60, Ashland about 62 tomorrow morning. Now during the day tomorrow, short sleeve weather in the afternoon. Tuesday afternoon highs near 80 in Halstead, Archibald, Lehighton, Mount Pocono about 70, Lewisburg 80, Hughesville 79 degrees tomorrow. A south wind, gusty at times, up to about 14 miles per hour. We do have a sunrise coming later on this morning. 6:40 a.m. It'll be coming over the mountain. It'll set tomorrow evening at 7:19. A very pleasant night tonight, 62. The risk of a shower or two later on in the day tomorrow, into tomorrow evening. Wednesday, partly sunny, 78 degrees, and then getting up, I think, into the 80s along about Friday, and that's good news. The hurricane's still 600 miles away, so no immediate threat now.
Okay, Tom.
Good.
Okay.
We'll keep watching
Tom.
it. Thank you. Still ahead, works of art in the workplace.
Plus, Joe Zone with the 16 sports screen, the not-so-tight race in the NL East, and the very tight race in the AL West. Highlights from those important games when Newswatch 16 Update continues.
This fall, NEP is the place to be for Penn State football. September 29th, Penn State versus Texas. October 6th, Penn State versus Maryland. October 27th, Penn State versus West Virginia. And November 24th, Penn State versus Pittsburgh. Penn State football at its best this fall right here on WNEP TV 16.
Well, I wonder how the Phillies look.
Yeah.
Let's find out.
They don't look good. It's all over for the Phillies, folks. The sports screen has the story. Find out what happened to them today. You know, they look as bad as any team in baseball has looked all year. Admit it. This afternoon, they threw a win away. They put the final nail in their own coffin. Take a look at it. They got out early, 2-0. Von Hayes got them off with a single right here, drove in 2 runs. They led 2-0 in the 5th inning. But it looked like that might hold up for Koosman. It rained on and off all day in Chicago. They had some problems with the mound. Did that affect Jerry Koosman? Don't know. But he did walk Bob Dernier right here with the bases loaded, and that got the Cubs' first run of the game, and that made it 2-1. Now, Sandberg hits the perfect double play ball, or at least a possible double play ball. Going to get that first out. Now watch Samuel on the pivot. Bang, throws it into the dugout. 2-run score. That's the way it ends. 3-2. The final score. The Cubs have won it. The Mets, meanwhile, just trying to keep pace. They started 6 games back, and now they're 7. Highlights of that game. Picking up Mookie Wilson. They were down 1-0 in the 4th. He smacked his 9th triple of the year to left field off St. Louis starter Dave LaPointe. That set the stage for Kelvin Chapman, who tagged LaPointe for a double to bring Wilson home. That made it Mets 1, the Cards 1. Stayed that way until the 7th. The Cards, Darryl Porter and LaPointe on base. Outfielder Willie McGee had a Sid Fernandez pitch for this line drive. Double. That put St. Louis on top 3-1. That is all that they needed. Check the scoreboard. Chicago 3, Phillies 2, St. Louis 3, Mets 2. The battle continues. Montreal over Pittsburgh 8-5. Atlanta beat Houston. Final score there, 3-1. The only race really remaining right now is here. The American League West, Minnesota and Kansas City. Watch this one. Boing! And it bounces in for a double. Couple of runs score with runners on the corner. And Minnesota scored 2 runs in the 3rd. The Twins increased their lead to 3 when Kent Herbeck reached Mark Gubiza for an RBI single. Minnesota goes on to win it tonight. After there's Balboni's home run right there, but Minnesota wins it. They're all tied. Check the scoreboard. Final score. Minnesota 7, Kansas City 3. They are dead even out in the West. The Yankees beat Toronto 6-2. Mattingly with a 3-run homer in that game. Montefusco got the win. Baltimore over Detroit 3-1. Milwaukee beat Boston. Final score 7-4. Well, we're back with Monday Night Football, and you know what that means. We're back with the always popular, sometimes intelligent, hardly ever cordial Boys in the Bar.
I'll tell you, it's really hard to believe, but you asked for it. Back by popular demand with Monday Night Football, It's Boys in the Bar. And tonight we started off here at Poor Richard's Pub in South Scranton. And let's go see if we can find our first victim of the night and find out exactly what they have to say about sports. Let's try this gentleman right here. Oh, sorry about the light. Didn't mean to hurt your eyes, but first question. What about Penn State and playing Rutgers last week?
I think Joe Paterno schedules Rutgers every year so we can open the season with a victory.
They're going to play Iowa next week at Iowa. Gone. 81 South.
I don't know if I should say anything on the air.
Go right ahead.
Pitt stinks.
Who's Rookie of the Year in the NL?
Dwight Gooden.
Who's Cy Young Award winner?
Dwight Gooden.
That's what I thought. Hey, you're a big Yankees fan. Why do you think they're going to win the American League East next year?
Well, I think because of Dave Righetti and Don Mattingly, they're going to probably win by about 5 games.
There's a lady who knows what she's talking about. I understand that you don't like the Cowboys at all, do you?
I hate the Cowboys more than anything.
I guess the guy said it, didn't he? Don't ask me why I do this. I take this abuse, open up another can of worms. I got to do this for 14 more weeks. All I can tell you is be ready, because again next week at the big screen of Monday Night Football, we're going to have another Boys in the Bar! See what I mean? We'll catch you next week.
If he doesn't do it better than that, it might be only 3 or 4 more weeks. New team in the Super 16. The #1 team now is Mount Carmel. They replace Valley View, who lost. Okay, let's check the fish and game forecast for tomorrow. Excellent time to go fishing. Karlson might be there at 3 o'clock.
Poor Tim.
It's late. By the way, we all know who won the game tonight. San Francisco over Washington. Big
right. We thought it might go into overtime.
I know. I was kind of hoping. Thanks, Joe. Still ahead, a real trashy display in New York.
But first, you can take a look at tonight's winning daily number, 401. We'll be right back. Finally, tonight, some people say modern art is a lot of garbage.
Well, that certainly is true at this display in New York City. You see, an artist decided to put on this display of trash at the Sanitation Department Center along the Hudson River. It's supposed to give New Yorkers a better appreciation of the dirty job garbage collectors have. There was everything from giant trucks and scoops to litter baskets, and the spectators loved it. That is a lot of garbage, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's Newswatch 16 for tonight.
For the team, thanks for being with us.
Good night.
Good night.